Hey V's, I'm Marie and this is Lottie, and today we are taking a break from our regular scheduled DIY programming to talk about something a little bit more topical to my life right now, which is this little lady here, and sort of more generally, 10 reasons why having a puppy sucks. And I'm not making this video just to have a giant whinge fest, it's just that, see, I'd always wanted a dog. And I did a ton of research into it. I grew up with dogs. I did some, little lady, come on, you're gonna be a star, calm down. I did some professional dog walking before I picked up this little lady and brought her home. And holy goodness, it was so much worse than I thought it would be. So I kind of thought that it would help if I'd just sort of known a bunch of these things beforehand in like crystalline detail. So that's what I'm going to do today, sort of talk about all the really like definite reasons why having a puppy isn't awesome, and then some of the things that you can do to make it more awesome, because it does become awesome, but at the beginning especially. Yeah, you were a pill when I first got you. Yes, you're also being a bit of a pill right now, aren't you? You'd rather go chase your broccoli. Okay, fine. Be back soon. This is kind of 10 things that I wish other puppy owners had told me. Things that I wish I had known going into this. I don't think it would have changed my mind, but it would have been so nice to have sort of heard these things before, because I found that when I told people I was getting a dog, I got these really just sort of like buoying platitudes that turned out to be kind of useless, because when I was just sort of in the depths and thinking like, this is absolutely awful, I was remembering people saying, oh, it's a lot of work, but they're so worth it. Just sort of like generic stuff like that. No specifics. So here I am with some specifics. If you are thinking about getting a puppy, I'm not trying to talk you out of it, but I just think I would have had so much better time of it if I had gone into it with my eyes wide open. So thing number one that like absolutely blindsided me was the puppy blues. Now, apparently, these are super, super, super common. And if you Google puppy blues, you'll get tons and tons of hits. Reddit's Puppy 101 subreddit gets like several posts a week minimum on people who post saying, hey, I've made the worst mistake of my life. I can't believe I've done this. What have I done? I've ruined my life. I've ruined this dog's life. I wonder if the breeder will take him back. What have I done? So it's super common. But when I found myself like 24 hours after I'd brought Lottie home, just absolutely struck by this massive tidal wave of like, oh dear Lord, what have I done? Just panic and sheer terror and this overwhelming sensation that I had completely ruined my life. Nothing would ever be the same again, and not for the better. I had no idea that this was gonna hit me, and I felt like a total psychopath because I had this adorable puppy who is everything I'd ever wanted, and all I wanted to do was to go back in time and have never got her in the first place. I didn't want to like give her back because I didn't think I would ever get over that, but I just wanted to have not done it in the first place. And so apparently these feelings are super, super, super common. But at the time, yeah, I just felt like a horrible, horrible, horrible person because I thought I was just weird and a psychopath, and I'm not. I'm fairly certain. But yeah, if you are thinking about getting a puppy, especially if you are doing it relatively alone like I am, or if you've never had one before, watch out for it. I've definitely talked to a few new puppy owners now that Lottie is 6 months old and I'm pretty much over the puppy blues. And I've mentioned it and said, how are your puppy blues? And they sort of say, what's that? And I say, well, it's this feeling that you've made the worst decision of your life. And they're like, oh my, that's normal? So I kind of wanted to get that out there. This is a thing that happens to a lot of new dog owners, and you don't have to feel like a psychopath if it happens to you. Thing number two, puppy house arrest. So this was something that I had definitely kind of read about in theory, but did not understand the full implications of. So when you have a puppy and they haven't had all of their shots, which doesn't happen until they're like 14 to 16 weeks old, you can't really go places with them. You can't take them places where there are other dogs that have been defecating or urinating, because your puppy might catch parvo or some other horrendous thing and die. So you're sort of left with this, like, I have this super hyperactive puppy that I am feeling very nervous about taking outside with, I don't want my puppy to die. And so you have this really very infuriating puppy house arrest thing, because nothing gets a puppy tired like playing with another dog, but then you're really, really worried about taking your puppy out and having them meet other dogs. And so for about 8 weeks, like 2 full months, you are spending a lot of time inside your house or in your backyard with a really hyperactive puppy. So I did 2 of the best things that I did to sort of combat this were invite friends over who had puppies or dogs that had all of their shots so that they could play in my yard or their yard and it would be good and safe and wonderful. And I just had a lot of friends over. I'm like, here, take my dog. She'll bite you for sure, but like, please. So that really, really helped too. The puppy house arrest, oh man. The other half of the puppy house arrest is that when your dog's that little, it has a super teeny little bladder and you can't leave it alone that long. So I crate train Lottie, and so I'm confident that she's not going to urinate in her crate, but she can only be in there for so long before it gets to be very, very mean, right? It's like being in a car trip and really having to go to the bathroom and the driver won't pull over. It's like, that's kind of a horrible thing to do. So when she was brand new, I only had 2 hours where I could be out of the house at any given time, and 2 hours is really not a lot of time. So one of the best things that helped counteract this, like, my life is ruined and I can never go anywhere feeling, was recruiting the help of some neighbors and some friends to come over and let her out so that I could go out for 4 hours instead of 2. And that was absolutely wonderful, and I can't recommend doing that enough. Absolutely call in every favor you've got. Most people, I find, if they love dogs, they're completely happy to come over and play with a puppy for like 20 minutes. It's just the sort of thing when it's your puppy and you have it all the time that it starts to be very overwhelming. But if it's just like, hey, come play with my puppy for 20 minutes, people are like, yeah, sure, absolutely, a puppy, yeah, absolutely, I'm there. So yes, puppy house arrest. It felt like the longest 8 weeks of my life. I was completely unprepared for how needy Lottie was when I first brought her home. Part of this is that I did choose a breed that was going to be quite clingy because I wanted like a cuddly dog, but as a puppy, this meant that she followed me everywhere and would have a panic attack whenever I wasn't paying all my attention to her. So I would go to cook a meal and she would have a complete meltdown. She'd be clawing at the cabinets and clawing at the walls and just screaming. And I felt like I couldn't eat. Same thing happened when I ate. Couldn't make a meal, couldn't eat a meal because she would just claw at my thighs and scream. And unless she was asleep, I didn't get a reprieve from this, but if I wasn't like sitting stock still on the sofa, she wasn't gonna fall asleep unless I crated her. So it was very much just like, why? Why are you so needy? Can't you just lay down and take a nap? I'm not gonna do anything that interesting. I'm like, gonna go take a shower. Why? So yeah, basically puppies are way more needy than dogs, or at least mine was. So that was something I wasn't fully expecting that really caught me off guard. So you want to love your puppy, but your puppy wants to eat you. This one I found to be, like, I know about puppy biting. I know that puppies bite. I know they have razor sharp, horrendous little teeth. But somehow I hadn't sort of put that together. It's like, I want a puppy I can cuddle. And the puppy's like, oh, hey, your face is closed. Like, why? You can go watch my puppy sporin video and see what my hands looked like when I'd had Lottie for a couple weeks. And they were just, like, I still have scars on my hands. They're just like absolutely were shredded with bites and claw marks. And I was completely caught off guard by how sharp her little claws were too. Like every part of her was designed to just like scar me. And I just wanted to cuddle her. And so that really sort of puts sort of like a hitch in your bonding process with your dog, because you're like, I love you. And the dog is like, you look delicious. You can, of course, work on training your puppy out of puppy biting, but for the first little while there, when they're really, really nippy and it kind of feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back with the puppy biting, it's just really sort of very disheartening. You're like, I love you. And they're like, hey. That good old lack of sleep. Now, I know this is so much worse if you have a human baby because it lasts way longer, but for about the first like 10 days that I had Lottie, she was absolutely not sleeping through the night. And for the first couple nights that I had her, she would wake up in the middle of the night and she wouldn't remember where she was. So it would go from 0 to like absolute full out panic on her part, banging around in her crate, screaming. And so I'd have to bolt out of bed. and go pull her out of her crate. Now she's squirming and panicking, and run her outside. And I got her in February, so I'm like trying to put on a winter jacket, just like running outside in my pajamas and be like, it's only minus 28 right now, and that's fine. So yeah, the lack of sleep thing. And then I don't apparently do that great with lack of sleep. I am not like the loveliest version of myself when I am sleep deprived. And so when you have a tiny, tiny being that requires a lot of patience and you are chronically sleep deprived, it's kind of a bad combination. Then there's the constant vigilance bordering on panic. So this totally affects your sleep because you just don't sleep as deeply as you used to because you're listening for every bump in the night. That might be your dog and it wakes you up out of your fairly low-level sleep. But then there's just, you're going about your day. Where's my dog? Is she hiding behind something and pooping? Did she fall down the stairs? Did she get trapped somewhere? Just like the constant panic. And again, I think this is probably much, much worse if you have human children instead of a dog. But still, this was just a portion of my brain being consumed. I was used to using that portion of my brain for other things, like, hey, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? Or, what are all the things that I can put like rice bran oil in? But yeah, now it's just dedicated to like, where's my dog? Where's my dog? Where's my dog? Is she peeing on something? Oh my God, what? This one dovetails into the vigilance bit, but just the constant worrying. Puppies have like no self-preservation instincts. In fact, I kind of think puppies might be like mildly suicidal. It's the number of things that Lottie would get into where I would be absolutely terrified that she had just poisoned herself. Like, she loves to eat gum, but gum can contain xylitol, and xylitol is extremely toxic to dogs, even in quite small amounts, and especially when Lottie was just a little pup. She was less than 10 pounds, and so a very small amount could absolutely do her a massive amount of damage, and so I'm walking around absolutely paranoid, looking for every piece of gum on the ground. She likes to eat cigarette butts. Why are you eating cigarette butts? She likes to eat poop. Any kind of like rabbit poop, goose poop is gross, I know, but we're talking honesty here. Why? And of course you Google it, and there's so many horrendous diseases that your dog can get from eating another animal's poop. And it's just, the constant like, have you killed yourself yet kind of panic. Again, very exhausting, and gives a big knot in your stomach, and you get way too focused on what your dog's poop looks like. Then we just have the general complete destruction/disruption of your normal life. Did you used to have a clean house? Did you used to sort of enjoy going out? Like, all of those things get, brakes slammed on so hard when you have a brand new puppy. And a lot of it is, you just have to create a new schedule. But when the puppies are really, really young and you can't really take them on walks and everything, it gets very, very difficult. You have this really hyperactive puppy that you have a difficult time tiring out, and you can't do anything that you wanted to do, and you feel like your entire life has been taken from you and taken over by this needy thing that keeps trying to eat your hands. And so I found this to be really hard for me because I love being productive. Being productive is a huge part of what makes me feel like makes me feel like I'm a good person and I'm contributing to the world. So I didn't really count sitting on the floor with my dog chewing on something as productive, but for the first couple of months that I had her, that was the only way that she was happy. And I'm like, so this does go away in time. Your puppy will become more confident and more independent and will start to entertain themselves, and you don't have to sacrifice all your productivity. And then you can also take them to daycare, which is what I have done today. And having your dog at daycare every now and then is amazing. You just get a little taste of kind of your old life back. Like, I get to vacuum. But anyways, speaking of vacuuming, that brings me to our next point. Your standards for cleanliness and fashion will kind of fall off a cliff. Before I got a dog, this was a shoes off household, and now it's just sort of like, screw it. Lottie doesn't wipe her feet. So unless she's really dirty and I'm actually like wrestling her in the shower to shower her down, they're like, And then she sheds, of course, so vacuuming has to happen more often, but she's afraid of the vacuum, and so it just kind of gets to the point of like, which battle do I want to fight right now? Is that the battle of my dog versus the vacuum? Very, very rarely, so And then for fashion, especially when Lottie was really, really young and biting everything, I had effectively what I called like my puppy slob uniform, which was this hoodie that I had unwittingly sacrificed to the gods of teething puppydom. And it's like shredded. sleeves of it, the cuffs are just because she would just all the time. And same with like pants, because she liked to jump up and claw at me. And so I have some pants where the thighs and like the knees have a bunch of threads torn out because she thought that would be great fun. So I kind of found that, occasionally when I got to leave the house, I was like, oh my heavens, I get to put on nice clothes. I get to put on a necklace because she won't just like tear it off. Oh, but yeah, that puppy slob uniform, I don't really need it anymore. Lottie does not try to actively destroy everything that I wear. But for the first, like 6 weeks, I was basically just washing that same set of like rapidly disintegrating clothes over and over again. So I didn't destroy any more of my wardrobe than absolutely necessary. And the last thing that just really sucks is the potty training backslides. I had quite a few of them with Lottie, or at least it sure felt like I did, and every single one felt like this great big like punch to the stomach. For the first couple days that I had her, I was completely expecting it, and so the accidents didn't really bother me that much, but she picked it up really quickly. And then my parents came to visit with their dog, and for some reason that just completely undid everything. She was so distracted by having other people around that she started peeing inside again, and I was so disheartened because I felt like, look at me, I got the smartest dog in the world, got her potty trained by like 12 weeks, I'm amazing. And it was kind of, like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back thing for a while, and it was so disheartening. And most of the time she had an accident in the house, it was my fault, right? I wasn't being vigilant enough. I took her outside and she didn't go to the bathroom, so I let her come back inside instead of sort of making sure she went to the bathroom or being hyper vigilant while we were inside for just 5 more minutes before taking her back out. And so part of it is you're like, you know better, and the puppy's like and the rest of it is like, I know better. Potty training backslides are crappy, but they're very normal, I've been assured. So if you are experiencing that, you're normal. Your dog is normal. Don't worry about it too much. All right, those are my 10 reasons. The things that really, really help when you have a new puppy: ask for help. Get neighbors or friends to come over and let your dog out so that you can leave your house for more than 2 hours at a time, even if it's just once a week. It's so helpful to try to maintain some semblance of normalcy. Sign your dog up for dog training as soon as you can. I took my puppy to kindergarten, and then we're starting kind of grade 1 in a couple weeks. And so that was really useful. It gave me a lot of tools to help train her into being a better roommate, a better companion, and help her and I just bond, right? She initially was just very dependent on me, but now I might be, projecting, but I think she actually likes me, so that's nice. I hope I haven't scared you from getting a puppy. Having a dog is totally, totally worth it, but those first couple months are really, really challenging. So I would encourage you, whenever you meet a new puppy owner who has like a very young puppy, ask them how they're doing rather than just fawning over their puppy. They know their puppy's cute, but they're probably tearing their hair out from time to time at home. So I think, ask them how they are. Ask them if they're getting enough sleep. Ask them how it's going. And sometimes it can be really helpful for somebody to just vent at a stranger a little bit, and you can kind of giggle and walk on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I know this was a bit of a deviation from our normally scheduled programming, but this is something I've sort of been thinking about sharing for a while because I just kind of felt like some more awareness and some more information in this realm would have done me a whole lot of good before I got my dog, and so I figured share the love, right? Oh yeah. Check the description box below for the link to my Instagram, where you will find lots and lots of pictures of my incredibly adorable puppy, and I will see you next time.